How you doing, YouTube? Matt Massive Beer Reviews, back with a little bit of Black is Beautiful. Local guys on a Black is Beautiful tip in the form of Weathered Souls and Manskirt Brewing, their version of Black is Beautiful. Yeah, this is 9% ABV. Done and done. Yeah, I think it's just a base Imperial Stout, and I'm really pumped to give this a whirl because, I've reviewed my fair share of Manskirt. One of my favorite beers from them, actually a couple of my favorite beers, a good portion of my favorite beers from those guys are darker beers, whether it be their kind of English mild, or more specifically their Great Porter, which I think is probably one of the best base porters I've ever had in my life. But I've never had a larger ABV kind of dark beer from them. Yeah, I had a barley wine, but, stouts are different. So I'm kind of curious to dive into this one to see how they play it out. Here's the thing, though. First off, can is what it is. It's nice. There's the one I did, Crown and Hops, the other night, had this kind of cool iridescent to it. So you can have a little pizzazz on these cans if you choose to. But this base recipe for this beer is not my favorite recipe in the world. I can, just after drinking a dozen of these so far, I can tell it's just a big Americanized version of a Russian Imperial Stout. So I expect this to be big and bittering. Not necessarily my favorite kind of beer, but it doesn't matter. Good beer for a good cause. Pick these up anyway, because it's going to support a local, I guess you could kind of support any kind of, as they would put it, so I don't butcher it. I brewed to support just in the quality of people of color. I guess you could choose whoever you want to. I believe that Manskirt is doing like an immigration nonprofit. I could be wrong on that, but you can check it out on their website and see what they're donating towards. But it's a big old stout. You can see, big, rich. I had a little bit of a head on it, dissipated really quickly. Let's see if we can get a nose. Like I said, this is like, think Old Rasputin. That's how the base beer's been coming off to me. We'll see how this one kind of leans. Ooh. Hoo-hoo. Okay. There's this really cool kind of jammy thing in here right now. This berry, like grape, raspberry jammy thing that's kind of making me really kind of happy. Yeah, that's fun. It's cool. It's got a soft chocolate to it. It's got this little bit of soft bittering, not nearly as big as I thought it would be based off of the other recipes. It's 9%, so it's a little bit lower ABV, but there's this cool kind of jammy component to it. I get that from some of my favorite, more favorite kind of Russian Imperial Stouts, whether it be Courage or Black Albert or those kind of beers. When I get that kind of raspberry jamminess, it really turns me on. It kind of comes off as the grandma candy. I've talked about the grandma candy before. When you get that big box candy for grandma, you open it up, it has the legend, the clear piece of plastic, and it names what each piece of the candy is, and you throw it away, and then you lose it, and you don't know what each candy is, so you randomly pop it in your mouth, and you get to the one that's like a raspberry liqueur. Yeah, that's what's going on here. That's fun. I'm diving in. Cheers. That makes me happy. Yeah, this is such a far departure from what I've had from... I shouldn't say a far departure. It's quite a bit different than what I'm used to having in these Black is Beautiful beers, which is a really roasty, really aggressive, both from a roasted malt and a hop bittering component kind of level. This beer is bittering. There's a bittering in it. There's a decent amount of bittering in it. But I can't believe this doesn't have like a little raspberry jamminess in it. It's how jammy it's coming off to me. Soft chocolate. It's not super aggressive in a roasted malt kind of chocolate component side of thing. It's more of a dark maltiness, just a dark malt as opposed to a chocolate malt, something like that. Nice mouthfeel to it. It's not going to be confused with the thickest beer in the history of mankind, but definitely not going to be confused with being thin. That roasted bitterness is there. You both from the roasted malt and from the hops itself, but then you get that sweetness from the malt, which is really on par with that bitterness, and that's how surprising it is it's not that it's overly sweet beer, it's just that it's not being without adjuncts, I should add, because there's some of the people who have done these beers have done barrel-aged versions of it. How you do that in 2 months, I don't know. Adjunct, vanilla and milk sugar and all those kind of things. This is, as far as I'm concerned, a base beer. That's all they call out on a beer. And the sweetness is up there enough to kind of bounce off that bitterness. But then when you add that kind of little component of that cool berry jamminess on there, honestly, this might be my favorite Black is Beautiful beer I've had. And like I said, I have had, God, it's got to be close to a dozen plus at this point. And it's not so much this is like a who made the best Black is Beautiful beer kind of contest. That's not why I'm reviewing this. I'm reviewing these because I think it just, I believe in the cause of, Black is Beautiful and racial equality. And, after a month or so, voices start to get a little bit lower. People start waving flags and, shit gets a little bit quiet. I feel like I should keep reviewing these beers at least to keep the narrative going. So in the end, I'm always going to be like, just buy these beers in general. So it's weird because I don't want to review and be like, this is shit, this is good. But when I get one that really kind of turns me on, I can't help but, even if I'd say this is awesome, you guys know I like it. But this is a really tasty one. Manskirt's not known for these beers. Like I said from the get, this is the first, I think, plus maybe the Great Porter might have been the biggest stout I've had, or dark beer, I should say, I've had from them. And that was, 5 and change. So to see them jump up to this and do such a fun job of it and give me that cool kind of jammy raspberry liqueur candy kind of component, I like it. I think it's fantastic. One of the better ones I've had, I've said, like I said before, just really good stuff in general. So yeah, let's talk about it. This is one of the better Black is Beautiful beers that I've had, yes. And that's it. We're not talking about price point. We're not talking about availability. You see them, you buy them. The money goes to a good cause. That's all it really matters. So there you go. Thank you very much, Keith, for giving this to me. I forgot to mention that at the get-go. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the review down there. If you want to talk about it, Massive Beers. If you want to check me out doing the social media stuff, Beer Massif. If you want to hear me doing podcasting stuff, I've talked to Joe from Manskirt before. So, yeah, go check that out. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully you're enjoying a good beer right now. Hope to see you next time. Cheers.